Hey, this is Gilly Woodhouse on the Osteo Business Podcast, talking all things osteo business. Here's Gilly Woodhouse, an author, speaker, award-winning business coach, and passionate advocate of osteopathy.
Hello, so today I'm talking to Wesley Clarke-Sullivan from Medimo. Morning, Wes. How are you today?
I'm very good, thank you very much. How are you?
Excellent. Yes, good, thank you. So just the other day, we were both at Therapy Expo in Birmingham at the NEC, which was a massive event, bigger than when I've been there in previous years, actually. I thought it was great. And so we got chatting, I think, because Chris Dan was in on the stand next to you, wasn't he? And I know
Yeah, that's
Chris.
right.
Yeah, he does websites and Google ads and everything. And he said we should both talk. So here we are.
Yeah, thank
We
you very
caught
much,
up
Chris.
and everything. And so of course you told me a bit about what Medimo's all about. So, can you start by explaining um what it does as a thing? What is it?
hmm Yeah, of course. So Medimo is a website where people can come and look for private healthcare providers near them. So, if you think of when you need a hotel, you go to booking.com, or if you want to order a takeaway, you go to Just Eat or Deliveroo. We want Medimo to become that in people's brains for when they need a private healthcare appointment. You go to Medimo, and then basically you put your postcode in, and we show you availability near you of different practices that we have on the platform. Um, so eventually, we'd like to, cater to all type of private healthcare specialisms, but we have to start somewhere, and we've picked the MSK space. So we've got physios on there, osteopaths, and chiropractors in the main at the moment. And being from Manchester, South Manchester here, I'm based in Altrincham. That's kind of where I started approaching practices to begin with. So we've got, I think within 10 miles of my postcode now, we have about 22 practices. Um, and then in total on the platform, there's 40. So we're starting to spread out of Greater Manchester a little bit now as well. But yeah, I just thought if I can target one particular area, that's easier to then begin marketing to patients once we've got enough practices, enough availability and choice on there of appointments. Um, so yeah, but that's kind of my main focus has been adding practices, but I'm starting to turn my attention to bringing patients to the platform soon in the Greater Manchester area to begin with.
So given what you compared that to, I'm staggered that there isn't something out there already that does this.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that was what sh struck me when I first started looking into this area. This business model exists already in other countries like America and France and Australia have got it as well. Obviously, we have kind of that mixed healthcare system here, so private healthcare is the smaller part of the pie in the UK, but it's still,
Yeah.
hugely significant. So it does surprise me that no one's, it's not that no one's attempted it, I don't think. It's just that no one's established, it's not worked out for anybody.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a case of timings and technological advances when people you need to be able to integrate with different systems and different booking systems, and that hasn't always been possible. But in recent years, a couple of these systems are being a little bit more open-minded, and they've created open APIs that allow third-party companies to start to build their own integrations alongside.
Yeah, because I guess if it has been created in the past, it's been you've had to book through that site you've ended up on, and then
Mm,
it all gets a bit complicated. Whereas I think I'm right in saying, Wes, that you'll integrate with Clinico, Nucal, etc., and people can book directly through that their own booking system. So they've got the patient data immediately. Um, and so
yes.
tell me, actually, walk us through. So um,
hmm
I'm in South Manchester visiting friends. I've got back pain, whatever, what happens next when I find your site and I have a
Yeah.
look? What
So you go
happens?
in there, you'll pick a specialism. So let's say you choose osteopathy,
Mm.
and you put your postcode in, and then you'll see practices. So we present the 12 closest practices, oh sorry, the 12 practices with the next earliest availability in order of who's got that next appointment.
Oh, so
Um,
I could be seen this afternoon if
yeah,
someone had got a slot open.
exactly. Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah.
see.
So
It'll
when
show
I
me that
check,
first rather than the
yes.
closest to me. It'll show me the next available appointment instead.
Exactly, yeah. So you're seeing it in order of who's got next available appointment. So if you wake up and your back's gone, you can be seen as soon as possible. You can change that, so you could see who's nearest to me. You can change the sort by.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, uh, that's basically how it works. And then you can see if none of those practices are, ones that you want to go and see, you can see the next 12. But it's just that you don't want to overwhelm people with too many choices. Like I said, within 10 miles now, we've got about 22 practices here. So it's quite a lot to be looking through when really maybe you're just interested in who can see me today. Um,
Yeah, especially for something acute like that where you just want to
yeah.
get seen. Um, that's
Yeah,
fascinating.
so the patient would then, select that practice. They can read a little bit about the practice, see a bio, see some images, read about the practitioners that are there, and see. We also pull through the Google ratings and reviews, so you'll be able to read five reviews from Google that we pull through,
Yeah,
um, and then they can go into the booking funnel, which essentially, shows them the dates and times that are available at that practice, and then it's just like any other booking system. You navigate your way through that, find the appointment that you want to go and book, and you put in your patient details, and then you proceed to payment. And then when the patient is paid, that booking is held then and goes straight into the provider's system. So let's say it was Clinico, that appointment shows up directly in the Clinico diary because we have that integration in place. So there's nothing really for the provider to have to do admin wise. They just recognize that, oh, another booking's come through, almost as if it happened on their own website. It's seamless.
yeah,
And the payment has landed in their Stripe account.
nice.
So yeah, it's I think previously, you've had directories online for these type of things,
Mm,
but what they would do is link you to somebody, to the site directly where you have to then go through, check them out again and go through their booking system. So we've just pulled it all into one place and onto one
yeah.
website effectively.
That's so efficient actually, because yeah, what would have happened is you went off that directory site to the website of the clinic, then you had a look, you weren't sure, you looked at the diary and you went, oh, they can't see me till next week. So then you've got to come back again, start all
Yeah.
over again and go to another website. I like the
Yeah.
fact that you're pulling in the images of the practitioners because I'm all about with what I teach about marketing is building know, like, and trust. And you're putting it all there in one place, the Google reviews, the pictures, and a little bio of the person. So
Yes.
you can say, oh look, Harriet's my kind of girl. She
Mhm.
she deals with women's health, for instance. That's who I want to see. And you can select her and book straight in. And it goes straight to the Clinico booking page of the clinic. So it's not gone. There's no chance of double booking, is what I'm getting at. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
it's clean, and you're saying you're taking payment up front, and that's going
Mhm.
straight to their Stripe account. So the big question that is in their mind right now is, okay, Wes, that sounds good. How much a month is this going to cost me?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's the question we get straight away.
Yeah.
So there's no subscription fee.
Wow.
We want to make it as easy as possible for people to say yes to giving Medimo a try. We don't, and also we're building this thing slowly. So I'm not in a position to promise practices, X amount of patients each month as soon as they sign up and create a profile. So
Yeah.
it doesn't feel right to be charging people money each month when they're not necessarily going to be getting new patients through each month. So it's free to be on there. You're getting that extra visibility, even if no one books. But what happens is if a new patient does book in to your practice through Medimo, we get 40% of that initial consultation appointment. and then it's your patient. So they will book with you directly those follow-up appointments. So yeah, it's it's trying to get practice owners to look at it from the perspective of, how many appointments do I usually have with a patient? What's my average number of appointments? Not to fixate on that one first appointment and think, oh, 40% sounds like a lot. It's really looking at it as going, okay,
Yeah.
let's say that's £20, £25 for that new patient. That's now a new patient that you've got, who you might do 4 or 5 other treatments with, who might come back to you in 2 years' time. So it's
Mm.
just thinking about it in that way. What would be a reasonable price for you to pay for a new patient?
Yeah, because conversely with Google Ads, you're sort of paying out all the time. I know clients who come to me that are using them that are saying, I'm pretty sure, and I think they're probably right, that previous patients Googling them because they can't remember what the phone number is or where to
Mm,
book or whatever, and then they're clicking on their sponsored ad to rebook. So they're paying all over again for that patient to book in when they
right.
don't need to. And I personally have never found that I've needed to do ads at all for clinics. Um, and that's why I particularly like this because they if no one clicks through, they don't pay any money.
Yeah.
However, we just had a brief conversation before we press go, and we saw that Jennifer got a booking on Saturday because she's listed with you. Someone was away and needed somebody urgently, and out of the possible choice of 2 or 3 in the local area, she chose Jennifer because she was a female osteopath and booked
Mhm.
in, and the job's done. So now it's up to the practitioner to say, do you know what, if you're staying for a week or whatever, well, I can see you another time before you go home, and then they might guide them to see their own osteopath or find an osteopath in their area at home or whatever that might be. But there is the possibility there of guiding that patient carefully to say, if you want full resolution of this problem, then my experience is 3 or 4 treatments should do it, and so on. So there is that patient journey where 40% has been absolutely worth it because you've been able to help that patient back to health, sort them out, give them good advice, and get them as well as they possibly can be, depending on what they've come in with. So I really like the concept of that, Wes. I think it's fair, it's very fair.
I
Um,
hope so.
Everybody.
Yeah.
I think it's a win-win-win, actually.
Yeah, that's the idea. It's 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 low risk, if not no risk, to
Yeah,
the practices to create a profile. And if it isn't working for whatever reason, you can just come off. You don't have to have your practice shown as available. There's flexibility within the system. So you could, by having your practice on Medimo, it doesn't mean that all your practitioners need to be available to book on there. You could just select your 2 newest members of staff who are building up their kind of patient roster.
good
Um,
one.
and your busier members of staff, you might decide actually we don't really need them to be on Medimo because, they're getting plenty of
Enough.
bookings anyway through the regular clients and word of mouth. Um, but the you know less experienced practitioners there maybe need that little bit of support with getting bookings, so they might be
Yeah.
open to that and they can just disable their own bookings. So
I think
there
that's a
really is
great
all
idea.
that flexibility.
Yeah, particularly for those bigger practices. That's often the problem, medium and larger practices, where the principals are very well known and they're always fully booked, and then
Mhm.
they know they need help and they bring in an associate, but they aren't always fully booked, and because nobody knows they exist, nobody knows they're there because everybody knows the name of the principal, and it's a
Mhm.
it's a constant problem. And that is one way that's really worth doing is it's putting them on there because then they will pick up those. um, I'm guessing generally it will be those acute problems where people are just 3 in the morning under the duvet going help on their
Yeah.
phone. I need to find someone, and they can get booked in and actually maybe get a bit of sleep before the morning because, oh, I've I've got an appointment. I'm sorted. I'm going to get seen tomorrow,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah,
So,
we definitely have seen people coming onto the website at all kind of hours, and
mm,
that you can you can kind of see the user journeys these
it's
days,
interesting, isn't
which
it?
is useful. Yeah, it's really useful to learn how people use the website. But yeah, when you see those ones at 3, 4 in the morning, and you just
Yeah,
know, I've been there myself, and you're just like, yeah, that's not fun. They're
they're
obviously
desperate.
that
Yeah,
uncomfortable that they've had to, right, let's look for somebody right now. I need to be seen tomorrow.
it's so true. And for those clinics who still um, don't want to go digital and are sticking with the diary and pencil, that's the kind of example I give, that you're missing out on those
Mm.
middle of the night bookings of Bob under the duvet on his phone, desperately looking for some help. And he ain't ringing your mobile phone at 3 in the
Yeah,
morning.
yeah, you wouldn't want him to, I don't think, but yeah,
No,
yeah, that is something that struck me at the Therapy Expo last week, actually, the amount of people that I spoke to who still do it the kind of the old school way with pen and
yeah,
paper.
I know it's
Um,
staggering actually, because I mean, we certainly know the millennials will not pick up the phone
no.
and to book anything. My kids are 30-ish, and a lot of my friends' kids are the same, and half of my team is, and they're just like phone up to book.
Yeah, yeah, that's the
No.
last resort. Speaking to another human is the last
Yeah, they
resort.
just
Yeah,
won't. For the likes of me who's sort of grown up with the telephone stuck to the wall, and you just had to stand there, you couldn't go
yeah,
anywhere. We've moved on a pace.
yeah,
But I can see it's same for me, really. I mean, I'm busy, and if I can't just go diddle-a-do and book something, then I can get exasperated. I haven't got time to make phone calls and wait for someone
yeah.
to answer them, and then have to leave a message. And again, most
Mhm.
people these days are reticent about leaving a voice message. They'll just go
Yeah,
back to Google and try and book in somewhere else.
yeah, yeah.
And I think we have got to get a bit more savvy on
Mm,
that front, and get systems that are super simple, which is why I particularly like Clinico, because it is very easy for the practitioner, but very, very easy for the potential patient when they come along. Um, some systems require you to fill in all your personal details,
mm,
name, address, date of birth, phone number, everything, and then go through. And then you get
yeah,
to the diary and say, oh, you can't see me till next week, or I'm
yeah,
urgent today. And now they've got your data. So I
yeah.
really dislike those systems. I think they're not fit for purpose. And the beauty of Clinico in particular is you go straight to, do you want morning, afternoon, or evening? And you go
Mhm.
from there. It's so you can see by the icon, which well, I'm going to go at 9:30 straight after I drop the kids at school, for instance. Boom, there's the appointment I'm in, and it's done. And I
Yeah,
think that's so important, and that's why I particularly like the fact that they are booking into Clinico via your site, not
mhm.
going anywhere else and leaving data anywhere else, but they're going straight to the point of purchase, if you like. No, it's fantastic. So the deal is just between you and the clinic, really, as a what you'd call it, as a kind of
Yeah,
platform
we're
or funnel or
exactly. We're just facilitating, really.
facilitating.
Yeah,
That's a better
yeah,
word.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
We're
like
just
it.
the middleman making those introductions, really.
Connecting people, isn't it?
Mm,
Really, it's
yeah,
connecting them. So they're stuck and they're looking, and that's one place where they can just look, like we said before, and just go, well, there's this one here and that one there. Which one suits me best right now? Um,
yeah,
and that's a quick and easy decision, because we're all decisioned out these days, aren't we? There's
yeah.
like too many things to decide.
Hmm.
Um, and I think what you've done there is strip it down to the essential information,
Yeah,
um, and in particular that choosing whether you get the listing in the order of next available appointment, which might be critical to people, tradesmen, for instance, where if they they're all locked up and they've got to go to work and put
Mhm.
food on the kids' table, come what may. So they just need to get themselves fixed ASAP and
Yeah.
out again, don't they? Or whether it is literally perhaps for an older person that it's, I'll wait till the day after tomorrow because it's nearer for me to get to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it depends
Yeah.
what their criteria are.
That's right. We just had a booking on Saturday, which was for the 18th of December. So clearly in that instance it wasn't, a super urgent booking that was needed.
Right.
Yeah, so you see all sorts, and then we had a booking this morning, which would actually be taking place now. Um, so that was a couple of hours out from the booking, from the appointment time. So yeah, you do see it. Um, but yeah, like you say, I think the beauty of it is just speeding up that time for people to be able to find who's right for them, whatever that
Yeah.
is. Um,
Yeah.
and now that this exists in Manchester, it's strange to think that people in the other cities around the UK can't just go on and put the postcode in and find out who's got the next appointment near them. It didn't exist until Medimo was launched in June. So it's kind of a strange feeling to go from having an idea to thinking, right, let's build this thing, let's do it, and then all of a sudden it's real and it's working
Yeah.
for people. It's
Yeah.
it's a it's an interesting feeling. But yeah, the average booking time that we see on the website is about 5 to 6 minutes from
Oh, so
people
it's quite quick.
coming. Yeah, they come on the website, you're seeing the results, within 30 seconds. And so then it's just about making that choice, finding that appointment that's right for you, and putting in your patient details like you would on Clinico.
Yeah.
But after, once you've got the appointment that you want and you know that you want to book it, that's when you'll put your details in. Yeah, and then away you go.
Amazing. Um, so I suppose I should just ask because I'm thinking what will be the questions in their heads.
Mm.
So are you keeping any of that data, Wes, from the
So
patient?
sure, the patient data gets kept for, I think it's a minimum of 30 days. And when I say patient data, we don't really get much patient data because it's just the fact that somebody is going to see an osteopath. It doesn't tell you exactly what might be wrong with them.
Mm,
But there is a field in the checkout form called notes. So a patient can leave a note ahead of that appointment just to say what it might be. So a couple of people do use that. And that's the data that we delete within 30 days, basically.
okay,
Yeah, but other than that, it's just the rest of the information is pretty generic. It's not kind of health data necessarily.
right. Um, awesome. So I can just imagine the rest of the cities now suddenly getting in on this.
Well, yeah, I hope so. We've started to spread out a little bit. We have one in Liverpool, so I need to get over there and start trying to add some practices there to fill up around it because it doesn't make sense to begin marketing to an area where you only have one practice. You
Mm,
need to kind of find that sweet spot of a network where there is now enough choice and enough appointment availability to
yeah,
for it to be worth bringing patients to the website there. So that's kind of the fine balance that I'm still very much in the process of learning all that and how that works. And like I said, I've not really begun marketing properly to patients here. We're doing some Google ads, but very lightly. That's
yeah.
just to get a little bit of data. Um, because I did when the website went launched in June, I think we had 7 practices on locally, and I was so excited. So I was like, right, come on, full speed ahead. Let's start getting patients to this website and start getting bookings. And we got patients to the website, but we weren't getting that many bookings.
Oh,
So it just didn't make sense to be doing like what you said about Google Ads. It's
yeah.
you can spend a lot of money on there quite easily.
Oh gosh, yeah.
You need to make sure your website is really effective for it to be worthwhile. Um, so yeah, after 2 months, we'd learned a lot in that 2 months of okay, the conversion rate isn't where it needs to be for this to make sense. So we put the brakes on marketing to patients and then doubled our efforts back to growing the network of practices on there.
Mm,
So that's where what we did. So now we're up at about 40 practices.
it makes
And yeah,
sense.
just trying to
Then,
grow that out.
yeah, I would imagine that London's going to take off.
Yeah, fingers crossed. That'll be a not a bad spot to. There'll be plenty of practices in there, I
Yeah,
think.
but
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And so
Um,
the systems that we can currently integrate with are Clinico, which we've mentioned, and NewCal, and then the third integration, the most recent that we added is Practice Hub. Bless you. So yeah, that's the three integrations, but we're looking to keep adding to those integrations all the time. We've got a bit of a waiting list growing now with practices like Jane and Write Up is another where we've got quite a few practices that are on the waiting list. They want to be on Medimo. It's just a case of when we can get that integration with these
mm,
next systems. So hopefully next year we'll be able to get there. We're talking with these guys and they're open to the idea of it. So
good.
just a
I
bit of
like the
technical
fact
work.
that you're doing it sort of slowly and steadily rather than going gung ho all in. I think growing organically is always a good idea.
Yeah, and it's the reality of my situation being a startup. It's just me in the business. You
Yeah,
met my mum actually she was on the
yeah,
stand with me at Therapy Expo, so she helps me out a lot as well. But yeah, technically speaking, it's just me trying to push this thing along and grow it. So
yeah,
my background is marketing and e-commerce. So once we are in a position where it's ready to try and grow this brand and build the trust with people on the high street, and that's kind of where I'm hoping my strength will start to come in.
yeah,
But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a developer, so I did have to use somebody to help build it and get this site to where it is now, which is kind of what the first half of this year was about. So yeah, it's quite a journey, but I'm fingers crossed we'll get some investment next year and be able to really ramp things up in terms of the marketing efforts. And a
yeah,
few more people would be nice to help me with trying to bring on more practices as well, speed that
yeah,
process up.
yeah. Because the fact that you're not asking for people to give you money up front is just such a no-brainer.
I hope
I think
so.
I just think it makes such a lot of sense. I keep thinking, where's
Where's
the
the catch here?
catch or the yeah, and I haven't been able to uncover one because
Yeah,
it literally is the win-win-win situation. Like I said, it's
I
like
hope so. Well,
yeah,
the catch might be for me that it costs me too much to get patients to the site eventually, and I'm not making any money. That's what we'll find out in the future, but
who
we'll get
knows?
there. The
Yeah.
interesting thing is with these, so this is what you'd call like a digital marketplace business.
Hmm.
Like we touched on earlier, you've got your Just Eats and your Ubers and businesses like that are digital marketplaces for different sectors. Some of those they've been going 15 years and they they make a lot of money in revenue, but still don't turn a profit. Some of them. So it can be it's because they have to plow that much money into the marketing to grow their
Yeah,
brand and stay ahead of competitors in the space and things like that. So it's a funny one when you grow a business like this, and particularly if investors are coming in and putting big money behind it. You don't always expect to see profit, and for those kind of unit economics to make sense in the early years. It's only once you've been able to get that market share
yeah.
uh, in terms of kind of brand awareness
At least you're
that
aware.
then you
And
can tweak things slightly and become profitable, hopefully in the future. That's the
yeah,
idea. But hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised and we will be able to get patients to the website for less money than obviously the fee that we take from that introduction.
yeah, yeah. No, it does. It makes sense though. I mean, it's just because a one-stop shop for when you want anything to do with health, that you can find things. Uh,
Mm,
like you say, at a later date, you can expand that to
yeah.
more sort of holistic type services that
Yeah,
people
yeah.
might be looking for. But
Like
I think
you
you've
might be.
started in a good place now because we know that there's massive waiting lists at hospitals and so on for MSK stuff, and
Mm,
people are in queues for like 10 months or something for
mm,
a bit of back pain, you know what I mean? It's like, something that um, our guys could sort out in 2, 3, 4 sessions and job done, and they've got to wait. And by then, it's turned into a chronic situation. And then they're in a whole heap of trouble, whereas they could have got seen if they'd have found your site and had a quick look around and said, "Oh, look, Jim's got a spot tomorrow. I'll go and see him." And
yeah,
I think as the public become more aware that actually it's they might, if they can afford to, they ought to really be going privately now because
yeah.
the NHS is just ram full of everybody expecting everything free. And I think in this day and age, it's a big ask, really.
Yeah, and some people just can't afford to wait. Like you
No,
mentioned earlier, the labourer that
yeah,
can't take 3 months off work.
no, no,
He needs to be treated as soon as possible. And so,
back out to work.
not that he wants to spend that money necessarily, but it makes sense to spend that
Well,
money to get back earning as soon as possible.
it can be a business expense, can't it, for the tradesman? They can just
Yeah,
say, "Well, that's my healthcare,
yeah,
I've got to
yeah.
pay that so I can work."
Right.
Uh, So I know one of my team said she ripped out a report from Clinico to thinking that her main sort of type of people that she worked with were pregnant women. And when she ripped the report out, the people who had spent the most with her, if you like, who came more often, they were all tradesmen.
Wow.
And she went, "Oh, I wasn't expecting that."
Mm.
And then she thought, "Oh, yes, every morning I walk past the cafe on the way to clinic and I wave through the window at all the tradies having their breakfast at 8:30 in the morning." And she was like, "Oh, of course," it made sense then. But she'd never sort of realized till she pulled out the report
Right.
who were the ones who were her regulars that
Hmm.
came all the time to keep all those niggly things at bay so
Yeah.
they could stay out working and not let down their people who are waiting for a kitchen to be fitted or extension to be done or whatever.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, it's I think the whole idea um, is grand because you're the biggest point for me is that clinic owners do get fed up with all the monthly expenses that mount up. But it's this bit for that, which is really helpful, and this bit for that, which is really
Hmm.
helpful. And, you know, I think the fact that they've got the possibility of attracting patients in a simple manner via your platform makes an awful lot of sense because why wouldn't you hand over 40% when you've got that new patient who could be a tradesman who's going to end up being someone who likes to visit you regularly to keep themselves fit and healthy.
Yeah.
Certainly, when I'm a desk jockey, I see my osteo every month, and
Hmm.
and she'll go, "Anything going on?" I'll say, "My knee's a bit funny at the moment." And she'll sort me out, and off I'll go. Or I might say, "Not particularly," and then the next minute she gets her fingers in my upper back, and I'm like, "Oh," and she'll go, "Bit of tension there at the moment, dear." And
Right.
so I feel like she like keeps me in a good state, so
Yeah.
I don't end up getting into pain because I'm sitting at a desk too long, and I know
Yeah.
that's not a good thing, but I just feel like that keeps me going. And so, again, if I'd ended up on that website, somebody who bagged me would find, nice monthly patient there,
Hmm.
maintenance patient, very
Exactly.
nice. And that's,
Yeah.
that's sort of part and parcel of a good clinic is, some regular patients as well as those who come in with an acute problem and toddle off again.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It will be interesting to see how the type of patient that Medimo is sending to practices, how that evolves. Because I do think initially it might be, like you say, more acute
Mm,
issues and people that are looking for that emergency appointment and want to book it quickly. That's probably where our niche will be to start with. But
Yeah,
then
that would be my
as
guess.
things
Yeah,
grow, yeah, as things grow, that might change slightly, and it becomes
yeah,
just the place that people realize that's what the easiest place to go and find any type of appointment, whatever their need is.
yeah.
Uh, that's the hope anyway.
That'll be quite interesting data as you go, won't it? To
Yeah,
see if it does evolve and change as it grows,
yeah, yeah,
what kind
yeah,
of patients it's attracting. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, I agree. It's likely to be the acutes that are looking for help at their wits' end at 3 a.m. and just just knowing they've got something booked in, at least they can maybe get a
mhm,
bit of sleep. Um,
yeah, yeah,
but yeah. So if someone's interested in looking at this further, Wes, what do they do
yeah.
next?
So head over to medimo.co.uk. And there's a link at the top called Get Listed. You can go on there, you can read, there's an FAQs on there. Um,
Hmm.
they can email me, Wesley at medimo.co.uk. If they want to, schedule a chat, we can get on a call, be happy to do that. But yeah, there's a sign up page basically from that Get Listed web page. There's another link to sign up and they just fill out a quick form and then they'll receive an email with a link to come and create their account. And the main gist of it is to get your API key from your booking system. You could pop that in and then it pulls through your practice locations, your services, and your practitioners. And then you upload a few images and some bios, and that's pretty much it. You'll connect your Stripe account, and if you don't have a Stripe account, there's a link to create a Stripe Express account really quickly.
Oh,
So once
cool.
that's connected, that's where obviously the money gets sent to when the payment is made by the patient. So that's
Yeah,
that's the important part, really.
it
But
is,
yeah,
and
so
I
it's
like.
super easy.
Yeah, it is easy, but I like the fact that they are booking and paying in one go, because then there's no messing around for the practitioner. They're not saying, "Well, great, someone booked in, but now they've cancelled, and
Right.
I've got no money."
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
and the cancellation policy is a 24-hour window.
right.
So if the cancellation is made before 24 hours out, uh, uh, the patient can be refunded fully. But if it's within 24 hours from the appointment time, then there's no refund, and the practice will keep their 60%, and we'll have our 40%.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's fair dues, isn't it? And
yeah,
that's the thing. I know practitioners often don't like to then chase up and say, "But you cancelled like within hours, and
mm,
now I've got no patient in that slot." And trying to get the money is it's a horrible feeling anyway. And I
yeah,
like the fact that that is taken completely out of the equation.
yeah,
They're a new patient, they've booked then for whatever reason at the last minute they've cancelled, well, then they'll have to just deal with the loss of their cash because they didn't bother turning up for whatever reason that is. And then
yeah,
it's up to the practitioner if the patient got in touch to say, I had to dash to the hospital for something urgent, then they may say on this occasion, or they may not.
sure, sure.
But then it's up to
Yeah,
them, isn't it, um, whether they do that or not, what their
yeah.
policy is going to be.
Yeah, when we looked at it, the standard seemed to be this one. So
Yeah,
I know there's some variation, but I just thought for patients coming to Medimo, there should be just one kind of flat
standard.
policy rather
I
than have it
agree.
per practice because that would be too
I
confusing. So
agree. Yeah,
we
it's
put that in
much
place,
better.
and I understand that patients can be a bit more, or practices, sorry, will be more lenient with patients that they know, like, that go regularly. And if somebody misses one, they might go, oh, we understand, don't worry about it. But yeah, for a new patient
Yeah.
and it being through Medimo, like you said, that takes it away from them. It doesn't really affect that relationship between the practice and the patient at that point then.
No, because they haven't really got going with it, have they? They
Yeah.
haven't seen the patient
Yeah.
yet. Yeah.
And it's our platform that's imposed it.
and that's unlikely usually to happen anyway. It's more likely that the patient will be delighted they've got a spot and they'll pitch up
Yeah.
because they've paid. And
Yeah.
because if they booked and not paid, that's when this
Sure.
shenanigans can happen, when they don't turn up. And then yeah, and it varies per practice that I find. Some will say, oh, I've had a run of new patients not turning up, it's driving me mad. And others will say to me, it's never been a problem. So
Right.
I would say, you do whatever fits your practice as it stands at the moment, because you can always change it. But I think
Mm.
going through Medimo, then it's much cleaner to just go book and pay, and it's done. Here's the information. Here's the place you're going to. Turn up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah. So that's it, really. Just try to make it as simple as possible, and people can create the profiles on our website pretty quickly,
Yeah.
especially if it's just a couple of practitioners there. It doesn't take too long. We have a few larger businesses that have got, multiple locations that have created accounts, and that can take a little bit longer, but
Mm.
yeah, even that is relatively straightforward to do.
Yeah, because if you're only putting straightforward information on there, aren't you? So that, like we said earlier, the
Exactly.
patient can make a pretty quick and informed decision,
Mhm.
particularly if those bios are really clear. Like, they've got specialism in women's health or sports
Yeah.
injuries or whatever. That helps the patient go, well, mine's a sports injury, so I'm going there.
Yeah.
It's an instant then decision because they've got clarity. Um,
Yes.
so I think, yeah, because sometimes the websites can be quite waffly, um, and go on and on. I studied at the BSO in 1947. And
Yeah.
actually, that's irrelevant to the patient in pain. They want to know, can you help me? And
Mhm.
how do I book? And what have you got? And so on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, those bios, if they're nice and crisp and clean, it's going to
Yeah.
help people go, that's my fella. I want to see him.
Yeah. 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 It's definitely going to be interesting to see as things evolve and how, you know, we what we add to profiles, and because at the moment it's pretty simple in terms of the profile, but
Yeah.
I don't know what much more is needed in patients' minds to make that decision.
Yeah.
We're seeing bookings coming through, so
Yeah, you are. And
certainly for those patients that they've seen what they needed to see.
yeah,
Didn't
and bringing those Google reviews through, that's the icing on the cake, because
Yeah,
it's just that confirmation that they can be trusted, that other people before have trusted them and they've got
yeah,
the result they went for. And that's all we're after, really, whether we're buying a new
yeah,
pair of scissors from John Lewis, or we're booking an appointment for our back.
yeah.
Do other
You want
people
that
say,
social proof. Yeah,
yes, exactly that, the social proof that says I can trust myself and my money in purchasing this appointment, and that's
yeah.
it.
It makes a huge difference. I mean, when we first launched, we could pull through the Google rating, so we were showing, 5 stars, 43 Google reviews, but we weren't pulling through any actual reviews at that point, and you could see people on the website desperately clicking on the stars, hoping something would
Ah,
happen, to see some reviews, and then they'd leave the site, and I'd be sat there going, oh no, this is, people want to read about other people's experiences.
yeah,
So it's definitely been a big help have been able to pull those through as well now. So
yeah. I think even even if you just skim them and go, he said they were great, she said
yeah,
they were great, and so on, you just go, yeah, okay, that's a deal then. Let's do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And most of them mention who the practitioner is as well.
Yeah.
That we did. So when you read those 5 reviews, you kind of get an idea. All right, so and so has been mentioned 2 or 3 times there. Maybe I'll try and book in with them.
Mm.
So it kind of helps in making that decision as well about who you might book with if it's not as urgent.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's the critical part of this whole idea. It's removing all the obstacles that might stop them, or might make them hesitate and not click the button and book,
Hmm.
because they're not sure. They say a confused mind never buys,
Right.
and it's getting all of those potential little obstacles or question marks disappear,
Mm.
so they can just go boom, boom, boom. That's my fella, I'll book, and
Yeah,
it's done. So I like how clean and clear you've made it for that patient, particularly, when we keep saying it's 3 o'clock in the morning. They're not in the best place,
yeah,
and
no,
they're landing in it somewhere complicated with tons of text, and which some websites, I look at a lot of websites, and some of them are horrific, and you
right,
can't work out who's who, what's what you need to do, and then, oh, there's a mobile phone number. Duh, I can't even
yeah,
book. Even if I like
yeah,
the look of the fella, I can't even
yeah,
book. So yeah, I like that's really clear. Um, I
yeah,
think that's the way to go. And they've got social proof, like you say. They've got a choice of people. They can decide by distance or by next appointment and get booked.
yeah,
That's,
yeah, exactly. So now it's just a case of, growing that network beyond Greater Manchester really, and, working on letting people know, letting the public know that we're here as well. That's, that'll be the big part of the job.
yeah,
Um, so that
yeah,
we can, live up to what it is that I'm saying that Medimo can become. That's the idea. But, I'm getting gradually more and more confident that this could actually work
yeah.
as it gets more and more real, and you see it happening, and you see it helping people make those decisions.
Well, like you've said it, it's already a proven concept in America, Australia,
Yeah.
and France in particular, no doubt
Hmm.
elsewhere as well. But it's a natural thing, just like Deliveroo these days.
Right.
Now you don't have to hunt around; you just go
Yeah.
to one place, and I think that's the way we're going, is streamlining everything,
Yeah.
so people can find what they need quickly
Mm.
without fuss, because we've all got ridiculously busy lives.
Yeah.
So,
And
yeah,
then, the other thing is I wondered sometimes why a particular existing business or organization within private healthcare hasn't done this yet. And because obviously you've got the insurers, you've got private health hospitals, you have got large groups of practices in different specialties. But I think it needs to be an outside third party, impartial, uh, organization that comes into the space and aggregates it all in
yeah,
an unbiased way.
yeah,
You couldn't have Bupa make this platform,
no,
because then you'd only have practices that work with Bupa on there, or they'd just be pushing their own, Bupa hospitals and practitioners. Um,
yeah.
so this, it's a platform that is unbiased.
That's
It's just
important, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just about showing patients who's near them, who can see them soonest, or if the patient wants to sort it by price, they can do that. If they want to sort it by rating, they can do that. Eventually we want to be able to add filtering by gender of practitioner as well. That's something that should be quite easy to do, because we take that data in terms of the gender of the practitioners when they create their profiles. But it's just not been applied yet on the front end for users to be able to filter by that. But that's something that we should be able to do fairly soon as well, because that might be important to certain patients that are coming through. Maybe you'd feel more comfortable with a woman practitioner.
Yeah, and it's not always obvious. Sometimes with some names are confusing, we don't know, and or even somebody like Sam, we still don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So it's, yeah, that might be helpful for people who feel that they, for religious reasons or personal reasons, that
Sure.
they would just prefer to see a woman rather than a man, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can filter by female practitioners and that are with Vitality, for example, and then you can see straight away who's near you that are
Right.
ticking those boxes, and how long would that take to do on Google. So
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
so fingers crossed we'll keep going as we are, making reasonable progress, manageable progress. Because if
Yeah.
it was any more than it is, it would be a struggle for me alone to be doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's when mistakes are made, isn't it? When you're trying to go gung ho and do
Hmm.
too much all at once, it's then, because if the back end's broken, then the whole thing's broken, isn't it?
Yeah,
And you've got
yeah,
to build that in a really robust manner,
yeah.
so that people aren't coming back going, well, this doesn't work. There's a problem here. There's a glitch there.
Hmm.
You want it all to be working seamlessly, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. You've got to have a little bit of strategy about it and take it slow and just prove that it works, prove the concept works,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
which is what I think is what I'm doing currently. I think that's where
Yeah, I
we're at.
think you are. I'm impressed by what I've seen, to be honest. For all the reasons we've discussed here, I just think it's a no-brainer to give it a go anyway. And if you end up with a few new patients from it, then fantastic.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a win-win, like you said earlier.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Wes. And
Thank you.
let me just spell out the website in case someone's running along. It's medimo.com.
Co.uk actually.
.co.uk. I
Yeah.
knew you were going to say that. I thought I bet I picked the wrong one now off the top of my head. Silly me. So medimo.co.uk, away you go. So
Yeah.
yeah, thanks for spending time with me today, Wes, and we'll catch up again.
Great to talk to you again.
Thanks for listening to the Osteo Business Podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe on all Gilly's channels, which can be found in the show notes. Gilly's back soon with more tips, ideas, and strategies to build your thriving practice.